We're going to look at data in this vocab word called correlation, and what it means to be positively correlated, negatively correlated, or just none whatsoever. Data that is positive correlation is data where the data is trending up. Anyone know what I mean by trending upward?
It means all the data is rising upward.
Yeah, it seems to be like as we go on, the data seems to be going up. It's positively correlated. It would look like positive correlation would be like looks like a positive. If you were to draw a line through the data, it would look like it has a positive slope. It's going up from left to right. So what do you think negative correlation is going to look like?
It's going downward.
Data is trending downward. Be like a negative slope. So if you were to draw a line that kind of fits the data, it would be going down. And how about relatively no correlation?
That the plots are all over the place so that you can't, when you draw the line, you can't really tell what the slope is because the slope's all over the place.
You know, data's kind of like scattered. It's
Yeah.
all over the place. It doesn't seem to be trending up or down.
That was fun. Wait, Mr. Fisher, are you recording this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Hey guys.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
I wish I could point that out.
But these are three definitions. We're going to be looking at what we think the correlation is as we go through. Okay. So we look at some data. One thing we're going to do is draw a line of fit. And a line of fit's a line that goes through the data I got about equal parts of the data above and below the line. It may not actually go through any of the points specifically, but as we draw through it, draw a line through the data, it should the data points should be about half of them above it and half of them below it. So like if I drew a line of fit here, a decent line of fit might look something like this. This is a freehand sketch. It seems to fit the data. It's kind of trending this way. What kind of correlation does this data seem to have?
Positive.
This seems to have positive correlation. The data seems to be going up as we go through. And then I asked you something about a test score. It said predict a reasonable test score for 4.5 hours of study. Notice that this is a graph of your score versus how many hours someone would study. So what would we think a reasonable score might be?
72%.
How'd you get that?
Because what you do is you go in between 4 and 6,
Uh-huh.
and then you go between 4 and 5,
Okay.
and then you go upward, and then you get to that point, and you see it's basically right above or below 70. I have a thought.
So it looks pretty darn close to about 70 or so. Because right here is 1.5. So it would be reasonable to say that according to this survey, if I studied for some like test or exam for 4.5 hours, then I'd expect to get about a 70% of it or so. Okay.
But that's not really good.
Let's try to do the same thing here. How about this graph that's graphing the test scores versus the number of hours of TV you watched while trying to study, when you maybe should have been studying. And we have some data plotted here, and let's draw a line of fit. This looks like maybe a good line of fit. Maybe something like this. What kind of correlation do we seem to have?
Negative.
Negative. Okay, and what would be a reasonable test score
Like
for watching 4.5 hours of television rather than studying. Gibby?
I didn't just use the word novel.
So maybe about 73. I could have used a red dot line.
You never use that. It's so cool.
No, it's not.
This seems to be like positive. And there could be a line of fit.
It's a T-shirt.
And it seems to be like no correlation.
I know, right?
Let's label this axis as fiber in grams. And then therefore let's put the carbs in grams on the y-axis. And let's plot these. So an apple is 5 grams of fiber, 22 grams of carbohydrates. Is our apple.
Is this real?
Yeah, it's real.
Like,
I mean, it's a
is
example.
this real life?
Real life.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then continue on.
No, this is
So banana is 4 grams of fiber, 29 grams of carbs. Blackberries 8 and 18, and so on. You finish. I did the first 3 here. You do the last 3, and then we'll see what we can do.
Positive.
So we got what? We got 2 and 12, 5 and 11, 2 and 11. Okay. So we got our scatter plot. What kind of correlation do you think we have?
No.
No correlation.
I think it's
Yeah.
positive.
There's no way it's positive.
Positive.
There's no way it's negative. That's for sure. So as we go along, it's at least getting bigger. I probably wouldn't argue with you if you put little to no correlation. There's little correlation.
So it could be positive.
I said relatively no correlation.
Relatively no, very little correlation, maybe positive,
Both ways. Okay.
No.
maybe slightly positive. But I wouldn't, it's not hard to argue that there's almost none. If there's any, it's very slightly positive. So, we can make, sometimes we can, if they're nice and easy, sometimes we can make these by hand. How if we want to do the same thing but use our graphic calculator? So, I've given you 3 spots for you to jot down like notes to yourself for how to get to the various things in your graphic calculator. I'm going to flip over to the camera so I can show you my graphic calculator as I go through. I'm going to show you how to make this, how to make that table into a scatter plot on our graphic calculator. So I'm going to make an extra column here that says, how about years since 95? If we're in 1997, how many years has it been since 1997?
2.
How about some 98?
3, 4, 5,
Well, I get the pattern.
8.
Okay.
And
So on your scatter plot, what's going to be on the x-axis and what's going to be on the y-axis?
the years
Come on.
That's not funny.
Which one of these 2 are we going to plot on our scatter plot?
Oh, years since.
We almost always want time on the x-axis. Years since 95. How about birds saved? You can draw this by hand. I'd like you to get practice drawing this with your graphing calculator. Because tomorrow we're going to use the graphic calculator to actually draw lines of fit. So if you can get the data input today, then you're going to be like miles ahead for tomorrow. Okay? Draw this both by hand and also use your calculator to check your work. When you're done with that, I'll get the homework up on the board for today.